Howdy youngins, Silver Mongoose back again with a very short buyer's guide / review for you guys. Because today, it's not on a system, but it is on a peripheral. Now whenever I was younger, I didn't have a lot of experience with the Super Nintendo because I had a Sega Genesis and my friend had a Sega Genesis, and anytime I went over to play a Super Nintendo, it was either Super Mario World or Mortal Kombat. So I didn't have a lot of experience with all the peripherals and such. So the first time I actually saw this peripheral was in Super Smash Bros. Melee, the GameCube game, as an item. And then I saw it again in the Super Mario Bros. Movie, though it did look slightly different. It was a little bit modified. Haven't guessed what I'm going to talk about yet? Well, here it is. The Super Nintendo Super Scope. Be afraid, be very afraid. Yes, this thing is massive. It could probably give birth to your NES Zapper and probably any other light gun you could find. This thing uses infrared light. It comes out the front there and is received by this thing here, which sits on top of your TV, much like the Wii sensor bar. It has a fairly long cord, so you should be okay. But keep in mind, if you are buying one, that you do need this, because I often see Super Scopes for sale at garage sales or pawn shops, and they don't have that, but you do need it. So let's go over this quickly. Like I showed earlier, it sits on top of here. You look through the scope, and then you shoot using this button here, which is a little awkward. You can pause with this button, and then here is your on, off, and then turbo. Some games do allow for rapid fire, such as Yoshi Safari. There's another button here, a cursor button, which I thought if I would hold it or press it, then a cursor would pop up on the screen, but that doesn't seem to be true with any of the games I tried. The only thing I noticed that it's for is if you hold it and then press the fire button twice, your game will reset. Here is where count 'em, six AA batteries will go, and it does eat them up pretty fast. It's kind of has about the same battery life as a Game Gear, I guess, but it's still fairly cool. So because it uses the technology it uses is much like the NES Zapper. Again, you can only use a cathode ray tube TV, CRT TV, like I said in the NES review. So it's those big, thick glass TVs, so you can't use your plasmas or LCDs. It just really won't work. And this thing is fairly accurate. As it says in the box behind me, right there, it has pinpoint accuracy to single television pixel, and I believe it because this thing is fairly accurate, and any game where it doesn't seem fairly accurate, most games do have a calibration mode where you will shoot and point on a part on the screen, and that will be where it will be shooting from then on. So if you do want to, for example, take this off and just shoot down here, or I don't know, I've seen some people take this part off and just look through this, or if you wanted to, I don't know, tape a laser pointer to it or something, then it'll always go to where you want. So you can like make your own crosshair or whatever if you're into that sort of thing. But that's a very good idea because it makes it very accurate. And like I showed, this does come off here if you just press that down, so you can put it on the other side if you wanted to use it if you're left-handed. Now there are only actually 11 games that this came out for. I do have 5 of them. I'll show them to you here. Yoshi's Safari, where you ride Yoshi and you get to shoot Goombas and Paragoombas and the like. And Battle Clash, where you shoot robots. Super Scope 6, which came with it, and it's actually pretty fun. You get to shoot like robots, and you get to shoot missiles, and you can also play like a Tetris game. There's a whack-a-mole game. It's actually pretty good. I also have the Hunt for Red October, which I don't really recommend. It's not really used for the whole game, just a bonus game. And I do have Tin Star, which I also recommend. But I can't seem to find it, so I can't show it to you. So these 3 games I would recommend for your Super Scope. So, on the positive sides, this thing is awesome. It's huge. It's just pretty cool. If you're a classic gamer, you gotta have one. It is really accurate. It's good for left-handed and right-handed. On the bad side, it is pretty massive. It could be a downside. It does eat up batteries pretty fast. It does get somewhat tiring to look through this scope, so you might want to fashion your own or take turns playing or something like that. And like I said, it does eat batteries pretty fast. So it'll run you between $15–50. So, you know, is it worth it? That's for you to decide. But just make sure it comes with the 2 parts, and make sure you can get a game that it works for. The games that it'll work for will have that little Super Scope symbol on there. Not all of them will, but if it does have that on there, it does mean it works for it. Some of the other games are Bazooka Blitzkrieg, Metal Combat, Operation Thunderbolt, Terminator 2, X-Zone, and Lamborghini American Challenge, none of which I've played, so I can't say anything about them. So like I said, is it really worth it? It's up for you to decide, and that's all I have to say. Remember, classic gaming never gets old.